It's Friday night, everybody. You know what that means. It's Friday night. Let's have some fun. Let's get together and play a ton.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm John.
And we're
Friday Night Games.
We want to immerse you into our love of the hobby by educating and entertaining you through our board gaming adventures. Our podcast lands every Friday, and we create content for Instagram, Twitter, and YT YouTube.
This episode is sponsored by TabletopRenaissance.ca, located in our hometown of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. They just launched their web store, so check out TabletopRenaissance.ca for your board game and tabletop miniature needs.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about a brand new game in 2021 called Destinies, a new app-driven game by Lucky Duck Games. And we're going to discuss whether or not integrating apps into board games is a thing for us.
Right. So in a world that is driven by technology, at least I feel that our board game hobby is a way for us to escape the screen for a few hours, help us reset and focus on that tactile experience that is board games. I don't know about you if you feel the same way. I know you're on a computer screen all day for work. I'm on a computer screen for most of the day at work as well, so it's nice to not stare at one whilst playing games.
If you're an avid listener of the show, you know that I don't have data on my phone. So that basically says how I feel about being connected all the time. But yeah, I'm on the computer like at least 8 hours a day for my job, and then afterwards I might be on it even longer, so I'm not a big fan of always being in front of it. So when someone says, hey, there's an app for this game, I just kind of get like, ugh, go away.
I know it's something that's, I don't know, maybe fairly new, but I'm seeing it more and more.
I don't think it's like fairly new. I know what you're saying. It definitely has been more prevalent in the last 3 years for board games. I mean, we've been playing board games for... It's funny, we keep saying 5 years, but now it's actually been like 7. we were always saying 5 years at the very beginning of our podcast, but now it's actually been 7 years. So 7 or 8 years now. Great.
Yeah, so have we played any games that have been app-driven, or are there any on our list to play?
Well, you have a couple listed here. I think we're missing one, though.
Which one?
Remember the one that was sent to us? It didn't fund?
Oh, yeah, Supernova.
Yeah, Supernova Smash. So that's sad that didn't fund.
Yes.
And that was more of an app than a game, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But on my shelf that I'm really excited to play is Forgotten Waters. It's not actually app-driven, but yeah, there is an app there to help you through it. So maybe it is app-driven. I don't know. We haven't played it, so who knows?
I know we've played Unlock,
mm-hmm.
which uses the app to, ensure that you're answering questions or following the cards correctly, if I'm remembering correctly.
Exit does the same thing too, right?
Exit's more of like gives you like the
timer,
the atmosphere and the timer, so like some like ambient music and stuff like that. And then there's also like Jaws of the Lion and Gloomhaven, not necessarily like app driven, but they've got like a storyteller app, so there's something that narrates the story as you go through it, so you don't have to read all the books and stuff like that.
Oh, so like someone actually says like it reads it. It's like a reader.
Yeah, like an audiobook type thing.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. While there are several games out there that have integrated apps in them, today we're going to focus on Destinies.
John, what is Destinies? Well, before you get into that, let me tell you, it's designed by, oh boy, I'm really sorry about this. I am going to butcher these last names. To these great people who made a great game, they designed a great game, Michael Golbioski and Philip Malunsky. And I'm going to destroy these names even worse. Artists Carolina Jedrzak, Magdalena Lesinska, and Eirik Zeleninsky.
Yeah, you didn't do too bad. Good work.
Thanks.
Destinies is a competitive, story-driven game of exploration where players are exploring a world of medieval fantasy. Players are trying to fulfill their character's destiny by interacting with characters, some points of interest, and unlocking new lands to search while following the guide of the app, all to fulfill one of the two destinies on your character card. The game is meant to mimic kind of like a role-playing game style, but doesn't include a game master. It's 1 to 3 players and plays within 90 to 150 minutes, depending on the scenario that you're playing.
Or 30 if you're one player.
Yeah, I guess.
So what'd you think of the game, John? Just get right into it here.
All right. So I want to disclose that Matt and I only did the first scenario.
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like I don't want to say a tutorial, but, help guides you into the feel of the game. I thought it was pretty neat. I liked how each player was doing their own thing, but the information is shared so that all players can make decisions for our turn. So, for example, without spoilers, Matt interacted with something I remembered a character needed, that exact something from earlier. Since Matt didn't remember that, I immediately went in and snagged it and helped me get closer to my destiny in the game. I also liked how easy it was to set up and play. The game looks like super daunting when you open that box. There's like 1,000 miniatures in it. There's a bunch of cards and all this other stuff, but it was actually super easy once you get the app going and all that stuff.
I want to circle back a quick second here. You thought
Yeah.
you were being clever when I interacted with something and I had your destiny. I did the exact same thing. You interacted with something else and I'm like, oh, I know where that is. I know where that's going. So you thought you were being clever, but really I think the game is set up for that, to be honest.
Right.
With two
That's
players,
right.
I think it's set to be like, oh, it's actually how my downtime, I'm listening to what's happening in your game, so I know how to get my destiny faster. That's a strategy.
Right. I didn't care too much for the turns being luck based. And so you have dice rolls depending on what action you're doing. So there's like intelligence, dexterity, and power. I know it's mimicking the like RPG style, but something about the dice is just too much riding on that luck element. But there's a player board that you have to manage. I thought that was really cool. So you have 12 spots for each of the actions, and you have wooden tokens representing a number of that spots, whether it's intelligence, dexterity, or power. And you have to manage that in order to get like the wooden tokens to be lower numbers, because the dice that you roll, you want to make sure that you have a certain amount of wooden tokens under those dice rolls. So the lower the numbers, the better chances you are for successes during the game.
Right. So, like, if I rolled 3 dice, which is possible, because you have 2 starting dice and you can get bonus ones.
Right.
I might roll, on average, a dice roll is going to be like 3 or 2 or something. So you're trying to roll. Oh, I know. Actually, well, their dice is special, so it's like 1 1 3 3 3 or something. It's like 1 1 2 2 3 4. So it's a little harder to roll. So maybe your expected value is like 2. So anyway, so you have these wooden tokens and they represent success. So if your wooden token is on like 4 and you roll your dice and you get over 4, then you have 1 success. If you have a wooden token on 4 and 6 and you roll over 6, you get 2 successes, and then you put that into the app. So I actually thought that was really cool. I really liked how the board rolling went. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunately, but I did play through a campaign. Unfortunately.
Fortunately, you played. Sorry.
Yes. I played through a campaign solo. There are 2 you can choose from, so you can do like an explorer or a challenger. For the one I did, I chose the explorer, and I did the Feast of Famine campaign, where there are rats have infested this town. You're kind of trying to stop that from happening. I didn't find it too exciting to play it solo. I was like able to very quickly fulfill my destiny without even like coming into contact with like the quote unquote big bad of the game. And it was funny because it like sort of caught me by surprise, because I was doing my different destiny path, but I achieved the other one. So when I went to talk to a character, they're like, you have enough to do this thing. And I was like, what? And then all of a sudden, like, I was like fighting this person, this thing I didn't even like interact with at all in the game, and I didn't know what choices I was making, and then, I don't know, it was very weird.
So just on that note, every character you run into, you could be like, check my destiny. And if you have it, then they're like, you're now in a new quest line. Basically, right? So one thing I noticed that me and you did when we played together is that we're always checking our destiny. We're like, hey, is our destiny fulfilled? And most of the time they're like, yes. No, most of the time they're like, no. So you probably fulfilled the other one, and they're like, yeah, dude, you got it all. You're like, oh. Okay. And you're probably just going around the town helping people. That's kind of like what you're doing in the game. You're like walking around helping people, trying to solve things, trying to solve puzzles.
Right. Yeah, so it just sort of caught me by surprise, and I'm just like, okay. And then I was like, I wasn't fully prepared to take on this big bad, and like the options that were being presented to me just like dwindled my character down. And I was like, I'm like, it said I won, but I didn't feel like I won. I felt bad about it.
Oh, well, you felt bad because you didn't do what you wanted to do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But like, I want to try to play the game solo again, but I want to do the challenger aspect. I don't know if that's maybe more aggressive than the explorer. I felt like the explorer, I was just kind of like going through it. So I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
I mean, okay, so in the notes you said don't mention the app because that's for later, right?
Right.
Okay, fine. Well, I think you hit most of the points. I liked our playthrough a lot. I thought it was very story-ish. I didn't know. Honestly, I did not look up anything on this game. I had no idea what to expect. So I had zero expectations, and I definitely thought the story aspect was really cool. The fact that it wasn't really like you have an RPG board, and a typical RPG, you're gonna fight things. I mean, you could, but really your actions were what? Intelligence, agility, and power. And power is like destroying things, maybe fighting something, but I don't think we fought something in our scenario. I don't hope that's not a spoiler. I used intelligence a lot because I picked a character with intelligence, and I thought that was neat because I did a lot of talking and solving things. And you had agility on yours, so you had a lot of like, oh, I'm gonna get this horse, or do little things like that. And then I thought it was kind of neat that, like in our game specifically, I thought it was really cool that it was me against you, because at one point I realized that you were close to winning and I was close to winning, so I had to randomly guess what to do, and I'm like, I bet this is it, and I actually got it in the nick of time, maybe like one step ahead of you, that allowed me to actually win our game. I noticed that I basically beat you by one step. I think,
yeah,
like at one point, it's hard not to spoil anything. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I went to something, I investigated it, and then you were really adamant on going there and doing the same thing, and I knew right away that you must be almost done, because I knew I was almost done.
Right. And I think I forgot where one of the tiles were, or like one of the like sections of the city was, and if I went to that other one I probably would have beat you, but I went to the wrong one thinking it was the one I was supposed to be at.
Yeah,
it was very close.
It was very, very close, and even like I was saying, I had to guess something to get ahead of you. Right, so like that really helped me. I'm like, ooh, okay, so I literally guessed something to get ahead, and it worked out for me. But the game was so close, it was like down to the wire. I'm pretty sure you were still one step behind me when I won.
Right, I had to go to the one thing and defeat the big bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was doing my big bad thing.
Right.
We're not cryptic at all. Well, anyway, so I think the game it's a casual game to me, and I think if you really enjoy Dungeons and Dragons, but not the combat, if you enjoy the exploration, then I think you'll really like this game, because the combat isn't like super complex.
Right, and I think maybe if we did like other scenarios that went through the campaign, it probably gets more challenging as the game progresses. So I'm excited. I'm going to try to go through another couple scenarios before I got to give the game back to the person who lent it to me.
Right. Yeah. On that note, we should say really thank you to that listener who actually let us borrow the game. That is amazing.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it.
We're super happy that you did that. We're sponsored by our listeners. Thank you, listeners.
That's fair.
So anyways, if you want a really like story-driven game where someone doesn't have to be the dungeon master, then I think that this is that, right? Like the app was the dungeon master. It was very story driven. It wasn't combat heavy. So I think like if you enjoy those things, you enjoy D&D, you hate dungeon mastering, and you like the story, then you'll like this.
Right.
And it's although it is hard to give a recommendation without mentioning the app. Thanks, John, for that.
Well, I don't know. It's not. Sorry, I'm not asking you to form your opinion of the game based on the app, I guess.
Right. Which we will in a minute.
Right.
And maybe my opinion will deter you, so maybe that isn't good. But I did see, I mean, you said you played the game very quickly, one player, and I think that I could see that as we were playing. I'm like, oh, if this is one player, you'd just be zooming through this. You know what I mean?
Right. It's hard not to cheat too, because no one's watching.
Yeah, true.
I'm just kidding.
Well, there's no the app actually monitors your takebacks. Sees.
Right. So speaking of the app, let's dive into kind of how it works with the game.
Yeah, let's rip it apart.
Yeah, so the app is there to help drive the story along and give you that immersive experience as you explore the lands. It acts as the GM for the game.
Yes, John, that's a good point. It learns with you. Decisions you make in the game affect the outcome of your destiny, and it tracks that.
Yeah. It's got this thing called scan and play technology, so the cards have QR codes on them that you scan to help interact with the app, whether it be asking about your destiny or acquiring items or trading items with characters in the game.
I really liked how it helped you set up the game and put down points of interest.
Right. But it also allows you to interact with the non-playable characters of the game as well.
So, are apps needed in board games, John, like this?
I don't know. Sure. This is where it gets weird, right? Like, I know we were discussing while we were playing that we felt that this could have just been an app itself and be fine.
Yeah.
Like, the minis are super cool, but like we spent a lot of time like interacting on like my phone that like the whole board just didn't sort of seem necessary.
Yeah, okay. So, like, from my perspective, the app was the full-fledged board. Like, it was
Right.
literally the full-fledged board. Like, we didn't even need the board. We could have just played on your app. I think we would have had the same game.
Yeah, because you got to press the characters on the app and all that stuff to get, tell you who you want to talk to and all that stuff.
Right. All it's missing is, like, maybe your roles and, like, the items you have. Like, I don't know. It just didn't seem like
Sure.
it was completely needed to me. Like, I felt like we could have just downloaded the app and played a separate game completely without having all the setup.
Right.
Am I crazy?
No, you're not. And that's what's like weird about it. It was like I think like the concept of it is cool, and I feel like the game is interesting enough that I want to play it more.
Mm-hmm.
But like, do I have to set up all that stuff? Like, I feel like I can maybe just, you know what? I'm gonna try that next time I play. Just not set anything up and just play with the cards and my dice rolls and see if I have a better like experience.
You
I don't know.
might. You might actually, because then you don't have to like set up anything.
Right.
It's interesting because we actually reviewed the Lost Ones by Greenbrier Games,
Right.
and so like that game was interesting because instead of having an app, you had a booklet.
Right.
Right. Way to keep referring to the booklet. See, I think that could have benefited from an app. Maybe not like an app like in this sense where it has like the whole board in front of you, but like an app where it's like, hey, read this card. Maybe you just punch it in and it gives you the info right away.
Right.
I think that would have been amazing for that game specifically. And I think like this game didn't necessarily like I think maybe that's what this game needed. Maybe it didn't need to be completely an app, Like it just felt like I was on an app. It didn't even feel like I was playing a game at some points.
Yeah, especially for like where you don't even have a phone that
No.
holds applications.
My phone there's no way that it couldn't run on your like iPad, right?
Oh yeah, my iPad's like an iPad 2, so
Yeah, how old's that?
12 years old. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, my phone is like 10 years old, so
Yeah.
my phone's 10 years old. That's crazy. There's no way it can
That
hold
is
it
crazy
up.
that it's lasted that long.
Yeah, it's garbage. It's so garbage. Maybe it's not 10 years. Maybe it's got to be 8. It's got to be 8 years old. Wow. Yeah.
There
That's
you
still garbage. Like I can't run apps on that. Most people play video games on their phone. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like when does a board game with an app seem like it can be an app, and then when does a board game with an app seem like it could be a board game, right? You're really like it's really blurring the lines of what
Yeah.
an app and board game is, and I feel like this was more of an app. That's how I
Right.
felt. Did you feel like that?
Yeah, I did. So I agree with you. It's just weird. Like, I didn't find that balance that I feel like I'm looking for if you're going to integrate an app into a board game. I felt like we were playing two of the same games. Right. So, and even at some point, like you even stopped moving your character on the board.
Yeah, I didn't care anymore. I was literally, you're touching the screen and showed our board exactly like on the app. I'm like, why? Why do I even need to move? Like, I don't need to do that. I could just, I just see what's going on, right?
Right. And it's cool because, like there's games like Unlock, for example, where you need the app to type in like your answers.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, right? And it tells you whether or not it's correct. So stuff like that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for, I guess, with an app that's integrated with a board game. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I was thinking about this the other night while I was drinking some wine in my PJs while my feet up on my table, staring out into the thunderstorm. Did you get that mental picture, everyone? So I was thinking, like, apps are good when the games are really complicated, right?
Okay.
So, like, I'm sure if you're an avid listener, you know that I actually used to play a lot of Hearthstone. I switched to Magic: The Gathering Arena, and the big thing with that is that there's a million rules, and I don't have to track them. The computer does that for me. So I think that is huge. When you have something that could do the rules for you, I think that's pretty big. But then why would I ever play tabletop? Right? Like when I was playing, sometimes you have so many combos of Magic cards that you're like, this is not even fun anymore. Like, you have to like two people have to sit there for 10 minutes figuring out what you just did.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas in like the game just does it for you.
Right.
Right. So that's one example. Another example, I think, is like if you have an encyclopedia of things to do. So like you mentioned unlock, which is great because you combine items and it'll tell you right away if it worked or not.
Right.
Right. And we played another game like that, which was the Adventure series from Cosmos, which we recommend. But I think it could have benefited from the same type of app.
Right.
Right? Instead of like looking through the manual at the combinations, I feel like if that had an app with the combinations, that'd be way better.
Yeah, I agree.
Because then I wouldn't have to flip through anything. I just type in the buttons and it tells me what to do. And then I'm not cheating. Like when I actually read through the manual of the Adventure series to see what we missed, right? I'm like, oh, well, how would this ending work and how would that ending work? And that could have benefited from an app. But at the same time, then you got people like me whose phones are really garbage, and you got to figure out who you're marketing it to. So if you're marketing the game to someone who's like in their 60s, they may not have a phone to play the game, right?
Right. That is what it is.
Yeah, it really is. And then I think like a game like you said, Gloomhaven has a companion app, and I think that's amazing because it probably should, right? I know Gloomhaven has a lot of rules, so it makes sense to have something you could look up things really quickly.
Yeah, I don't know if that has like a rule thing in it.
Oh, well,
I know that it might. I don't know. When I was playing Jaws of the Lion, it like narrated the stuff for me, so I didn't have to read the book.
Well, that's still cool too, because then someone doesn't have to sit there reading the book, right?
Like me, I hate reading rule books. So
I actually think most people hate reading rule books. As whenever we'd have a guest on, they always talk about how they don't like to read the rules, right? So people like me are more rare.
There you go. So, do you think integrating apps into board games is going to help move the hobby along further?
No. Next question. No, it's it's a board game that I want to play. It's not an app game that I want to play, right? And do I wish games like board games came with some sort of app? Well, I think kind of hit it before, if it's a companion app, it's going to help me. Sure. There are some games that have like complete apps, like Wingspan has a complete video game app, and so does Root. And I kind of wish when I bought Root or I buy Wingspan, it comes with that app so I can learn the game easier and then teach other people. I think that would be very beneficial, which maybe would allow you to play solo and learn the rules. And then if someone else wants to play with you, they buy the game. And I think that could lead to some amazing app-driven tutorials. Like for when we were actually playing Destinies, I thought it was amazing that it showed you get out this board. It showed the board. It showed the setup in front of you. I think that was amazing. I think that was super cool. But I don't know. It also took away from like having a board in front of you too.
Right.
But for other games that are not Destinies and are not narrated and they're not RPG-ish, I think a companion app like that would be amazing because it could show you exactly how to set up the game and what everything is in front of you. Although people would argue you could just watch it played by Rodney Smith, another Canadian, if you really wanted to figure it out. So there's always that too.
Right.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't like, like if it's an app or it's just a board game, I don't like having them integrated because when I play a board game, I don't want it to be there. I don't want to be on the computer. I don't want to be staring at a screen. But if I'm playing an app, I don't want to have a board in front of me either. So I don't know. Maybe this is a new thing. Maybe this will be the next D&D, right? This could be D&D 6 or something. I don't know. Who knows? That was my rant. Hope you enjoyed it.
I think it's a cool way to bring in technology to a game, but I think it needs to be done in the right way where there's enough still of that tangible aspect to make it feel like a board game still. I don't know if we'll ever find that balance. I don't know what that balance looks like myself, or else, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be doing that. I mean, it's clear that the world is moving into that, using technology for everything all the time. So I think eventually that we can find a cool way where it integrates it. Do I love the idea? No, but it's not going to make or break a game for me. Like, I'll try it out regardless. That's where I stand. It's cool, but I feel like it needs to be done right, and I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, I feel like Destinies could be like a good Zoom game. I feel like you can play it over Zoom.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because you just need dice, and someone just shows the city set up, right?
Yeah,
I think that would be pretty cool. But I guess that kind of leads. You know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say like I think this is like more D&D related. I think that they could do that where they make like a game just like Destinies with a D&D engine. I mean, mind you, Destinies blurs the line between the D&D engine because you technically have a board with dice and you're rolling it to do things. So I think like you could literally take that, you know, and like either D&D or that system, you can make an app where everyone could play at home and you're doing like a D&D, and it would be a good stream because then you'd even have like a board and places to show people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think like almost like a D20, but or roll 20. I think it would be like that, but like a better version. So you're not like people want to hand draw maps and stuff. But I don't know, maybe people like hand drawn maps and making all that stuff up themselves. I have no idea. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
maybe we'll get there.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to figure out, I guess. Yeah. So, anyways, any games with apps that you actually want to play, John?
Yeah, I have Alice's Missing on my list, and I think this actually might. I don't know if this will answer my question, my like a good way of integrating everything, but basically, like you use like your phone, you send text messages to each other because it's like a silent role playing game.
Mm-hmm.
To unearth clues. So we haven't played it yet. It's on the shelf. We need at least 3 players and a lot of time to do it. We just haven't been able to do that because of the lockdowns we were in. But I'm interested to see how that works. How like the text messaging and not talking to each other really works in solving this game. But I'm interested to try that one out. What about? Is there anything that you're looking forward to?
No.
No.
No,
right.
I'm not. You know, like apps. It's just like me ranting. Is that what this episode is?
Welcome to Matt's ranting episode.
Are you just trying to like tell me I need to upgrade my phone? Is that what this whole episode is about? You're just
That's
like...
exactly what it is. I want you to go buy the new iPhone so
Oh.
we can take better pictures and videos without having to carry a big DSLR camera around.
Are you sponsored by like Apple or something? Is that?
I wouldn't be here if I was sponsored by Apple.
Yeah,
as I'm on my PC.
You know what? Like I mean, like as you're on your where's your on PC? True. You know, to be honest, like I don't care for app games other than something that I think is better in an app format, like Magic or Hearthstone. I think those are better games to be because the computer manages all the rules. I think that's actually a better game for a computer.
Cool.
And an app. So, is there anything besides those? And I mean, and all our guests are like Magic is its own thing, and I completely agree. But is there anything besides those? No. Like I'm not an app guy. I don't wanna be on my computer. I did it for Destinies because it's probably going to be game of the year. And mark my words, everyone's going to be like, this is the best game ever. And I'm going to be like that hipster in the back. I'm like, no, I hate apps. You know, I don't like it. You know, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to point it out to everybody right now. But yeah, I'm just not excited for anything else. That's my rant. I'm not upgrading my phone, John. You can't make me.
Okay. So you heard it here. Friday Night Games does not care about apps. In board games, we prefer the tangible experience, but that is our opinion and probably not yours. So that's okay. We just want to play board games with everybody.
Yeah, we want to try everything, and I'm glad we tried.
Yeah, yes, same here. So if Destiny sounds like something you are into, I'm sure you can talk to Solon at tabletop-renaissance.ca. Maybe he can snag a copy for you if it's available. I know it was a Kickstarter game, but yeah.
Cool.
If you like what you hear, don't forget to like and follow us on your favorite streaming platform and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can follow us along on our social media, Instagram at Friday Night Games _official, Twitter at Friday Night GMS, TikTok at Friday Night Games, and as always, our website, FridayNight.Games. Again, I'm John.
And I'm Matt.
It's Friday night, so let's have some fun.